Welcome to Beyond Ready, guiding youth to grow, thrive, and find their spark in a world of change. The podcast where we explore the stories, insights, and experiences of youth development through the lens of 4-H here in Douglas County, Kansas.
4-H, the nation's largest youth organization, empowers 6 million young people through numerous hands-on learning experiences to build a ready generation.
Sharing stories from local clubs, project groups, and volunteers, we'll explore how 4-H is creating change, building stronger communities, and equipping today's youth to meet tomorrow's challenges.
So join us, whether you're a proud 4-H alum, an active club member or volunteer, or simply looking to learn more about the world of 4-H. Let's get started. Hi, this is Nancy Noyes, 4-H Program Assistant, Douglas County.
Hey, this is Nickie Harding, Douglas County 4-H Extension Agent.
This month, we'd like to look at membership has its rewards. And that may sound cliche, but we want to really focus on this as we wrap up the 4-H year and we're moving past fair season and into the achievement celebrations. What say you, Nickie?
Yeah, so this, as we're winding down the year, this is when the kids are really starting to look at what they've done over the year. And one of the ways that they can report that information is through our project report forms. And I think as they are doing those report forms, that's when they're really able to see, one, how much I accomplished over the year. Like, look at all the stuff that I did. A lot of times we forget all the things that we do until we start to really write it down. But within that project report form, there's also a rewards section that the kids are reflecting back and looking at those achievements that they've done throughout the year. But then that report form gives them just another way to be able to showcase what they've done and receive recognition at the end of the year.
Well, the 4-H organization is such a successful youth program with a great, impressive array of projects, and these inspire the intrinsic motivation to learn and to have a sense of accomplishment. And the successful outcome, or the extrinsic motivation, is the recognition and the rewards. And we as 4-H educators and with our 4-H adult volunteers work to keep that cycle continual. So how do we do this? 4-H recognition is a tool for youth motivation and self-improvement. It provides satisfaction and feelings of accomplishment in youth. In the same way, we match our teaching models in 4-H to the appropriate level for the different ages. We also pay attention to the age appropriateness of recognition, right?
Absolutely.
That's so important. We look at the 5 to 8-year-old. They need special recognition that does not involve competition.
Absolutely.
It may just be, great job, you did it. Wow, look at you. And then the 9 to 12-year-old is strongly motivated by a pin as an award and recognition, and assembly of peers and adults. And that's where the report form comes in, and they're recognized that way. And the 12 to 14-year-old is influenced by awards such as a county medal, money, who doesn't like money, ranking in the organization, and the admiration of peers. 14 to 19-year-old is motivated by trip, scholarships, and recognition in the community in a public setting. So this is all explained further in the show notes, and we want to look at that achievement celebration.
Yes, yeah. So the achievement celebration, as we prepare for that, of course, the awards given through the achievement celebration definitely are broke down, in those age-appropriate forms you had mentioned earlier. The achievement celebration also is something that, a part of that achievement and I think just that self-accomplishment, the achievement celebration is something that is created by everybody within the program, right? Our volunteers,
Sure.
Our youth, you and I, we work together. But I think what is also special about that achievement celebration is the fact that the kids are a part of that planning process. And so it also gives them ways to be able to express how they may like to be receiving an award or what type of reward that is. But the achievement celebration, we look forward to that every year.
Yeah.
Celebrated with a meal for everybody. Food always brings people together. That's
Right.
always a great way to have some awards there. But having that meal with everybody there, and anybody can attend that achievement celebration. I think sometimes, I even have 4-Hers say, well, I didn't necessarily complete a project record. Do I need to be there? Well, yes, come and enjoy and look and see what your peers have been doing for the rest of the year.
It is. It's just a festive atmosphere. And I always love when community leaders will take that time out and be there for the kids. And that means a lot. They're like, hey, the commissioners were here, or the mayor was here, or whomever. It's just really good for them because that recognition of members who've completed those membership levels and report forms are all getting called up and receiving a surprise gift, a handshake. They're honored in front of their peers and family, and we take photographs. So it's a real celebration.
I think the other piece of it is the youth. A lot of, well, everything that we do wouldn't happen without our volunteers, right? Or our adults, whether it's a one-time, hey, can you do this for us? Or you've got those leaders that are serving monthly or daily, depending on what is going on. But this is a great time for those youth to also be able to honor their volunteers or their adult mentors. And it's another way for other adults to see what everybody else is doing, right? And just to be able to recognize them and thank them for their efforts through this activity as well.
Exactly. It's just such an exceptional team building exercise for leadership, all rolled into one with the youth recognition. I love how the different awards for the leadership is so important, and there's a little script that is read about their accomplishments, and it's always so nice to recognize them, to see them up there smiling and hearing this read about them and their accomplishments. That's a big piece of it. That's really important.
Absolutely. Well, and while we're providing awards and recognition through that achievement celebration, we also do that. We're also recognizing those kids that compete in team activities that we host, here throughout the county through the year. A lot of times those are held closer to the fair with those judging team activities, but the judging team activities also, there's recognition there, not just at the county level, but at the state level as well.
Yeah, the team aspect, it's both individual and group activities, so that builds the cohesiveness around a subject area, and those individuals kind of compete against a standard which is established for them. But the team part of it is so important because we've seen how they have to interact in a team problem. Yes. And that's just really important because they practice their getting along skills and their public speaking, because a lot of times after they solve that, they have to present them their model, and each one has to have a part in that. And it really enforces that idea of all of us make one, and we have to, contribute to this.
Yeah. Yes. No, it's a great way for them to build the teamwork, the cooperation piece of it. We just had kids compete here in the last month or so with various judging team competitions, and a few of them have those team problems, right, where they're actually being judged as they're working as a team to complete a scenario. And so I know our livestock skillathon kids had to do that in a team problem. Our consumer judging kids just had to do that. And the kids had mentioned during the consumer, the scenario that they were given, they were thinking through, I think they were needing to host an activity.
No.
And for maybe a club activity. But actually, it's funny that we're talking about awards and recognition because they use the achievement celebration as their example. Like, hey, this is just like if we're planning an achievement celebration, nice. And with locations. So again, just watching them work together, cooperate, and then when they can relate it back to activities that we do regularly, that really gives just some accomplishment there as well.
That does reinforce that extrinsic motivation because they're getting recognized by their peers and by outside judging. I think it was really interesting when the livestock skillathon teams came out. I expected them after a long day to be just really tired, and they were ready to go home. But they were so motivated. They talked about it all the way home in the car, what we're going to do next year, and wasn't that fun? And, what did you put down for this? And didn't we do good? I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yes. I also think when they can't talk to each other during that competition, it's really exciting for them as they come out so they can compare and see how they did because they had been working together to prepare. So being able to debrief together, I think, is really satisfying for them as well.
It is. And when we recognize 4-H members for this kind of cooperation, it's really important. We involve them in the process, and we've talked about that with the achievement celebration. There's a specific committee, but everybody cooperates with that. And they have a mutually agreed upon goal, and that is part of the satisfaction of that team effort. and all members are recognized. That is such a cohesive, again, I use that word, but it's really important because that makes them feel a part of this and a part of the organization.
Yep. Yeah, and we see this at the club level, to the county level, to even the state or national level, depending on, what it is that they are doing. But at the club level, they're definitely working on those skills to be a part of a group, right? To work together to
Exactly.
accomplish a service project, or maybe it's just working to find somebody to come and speak at their club. The officer team works together to create activities at every meeting. So, yeah, again, sometimes we don't necessarily have to get something as a reward for what we're
Exactly.
doing.
Right.
It's just that self accomplishment of working with other peers to accomplish a goal is satisfying.
So we talked a little bit about the volunteer leaders, and we want to touch on how we recognize parents, volunteer leaders, and just the folks who are always there, always helping, putting away the chairs after a meeting, picking kids up to take them places. They're just available. These supporting adults are motivated by recognition too, and these can be just a personal thank you, publicity, a new mention in the newsletter, social media, certificates, which we do, again, double back to the achievement celebration, a special title, or anything that reinforces that they are doing great work for the program, and we need all of them.
Yes. Yeah, they do great work. And, as we're evaluating ways that we thank them, I always feel I still never am able to, in my opinion, I don't think I can let them know enough how much that we appreciate what they do, because they are so valued and a part of making everything run smoothly.
Right. And just listening to their feedback is so important. They say, well, I think that went really well, or I notice, that someone was lagging back and they weren't as sure, and maybe next time we could do, this to make that program run smoother or facilitate more involvement. And their view is really important because we get so caught up in running and making sure it's going well that we don't always see those little things that they may notice. So we need to keep listening, and we need to give the compliments and, expense paid trips for the chaperones, a
Yes.
meal. Those kind of things are really important.
Yep, absolutely. Actually, I was also just thinking back to the different ways we recognize, and you mentioned, chaperones being able to chaperone trips, free of charge. And, for our big kids, those seniors, trips are definitely a motivator for a lot of these
sure.
kids to be able to be successful, because it really just helps them grow in their 4-H experience, but grow as a person. So I know as the kids are older, a project report form state winner gets a trip to Atlanta, Georgia for the National 4-H Conference. So I think sometimes we don't talk enough about, what kind of rewards are available for our 4-Hers as they navigate their way through the 4-H experience.
I think that's so true. I know in another county, when my kids were first involved, they weren't aware that state trips were available to these different contests, to these, citizenship in action in Topeka, to Discovery Days. And so my kids were going to these things, and we started getting more kids out of the county, and they're like, wow, we can do things outside the county. And they were really motivated by that.
Yes. I think one of the big motivators, especially for your judging teams, depending on what the experience is as they get older, being able to win that state contest to then compete nationally. I know a lot of times, at least for our poultry kids, I see it all the time. Every year as they prepare, they are really striving to win that state contest because they really want to be able to compete at the national level. So again, a very strong motivator for these kids to continue learning and working hard.
But just to bring this kind of full circle in a summary, ultimately tying an award or recognition back to the members' hard work or character is really important, because the character, such as their effort, their cooperation, or their persistence, connects the external reward to their internal values that ultimately brought them to 4-H and kept them here. And 4-H does a great job of this. Statistics from the 2024 National Index Study of 4-H Youth, which is in the show notes, shows findings in the high 80 to 90%. Youth feel supported, welcome, and safe. They feel valued and think the adults in 4-H respect them. And those are definitely some powerful rewards.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So remember, membership definitely is a reward, but recognition is the spark that keeps our youth, volunteers, and families motivated. So from the youngest clover buds to graduating seniors, celebrating achievements, whether it's, the age appropriate ways, that helps us really build the confidence, teamwork, and the lasting sense of accomplishment in our 4-Hers. So whether it's a handshake, a medal, a scholarship, or a heartfelt thank you, recognition reminds us all that in 4-H, every effort counts and every contribution matters.
Exactly.
So thanks for tuning in today, everybody. And be sure to join us next time as we continue to explore 4-H and Beyond Ready.
Thank you for listening to K-State Extension Douglas County's podcast. We hope you tune in again for not only more research-based information and resources you can trust, but also good conversation. Until next time.